So my video today is just to help you through the large numbers slide from the project based learning for week 7. There were some pretty tricky numbers on there, working with population and area of countries. So I thought I'd give you some help in writing those numbers out properly and understanding what they're worth. So I'm going to show you some examples with the place value chart to help you represent the whole numbers accurately using place value. We're going to start with some hopefully easy ones, and then we'll work up towards numbers like the ones that are on the sheet. So you can see at the top of the page I've got a place value chart with the O representing ones, the T representing tens, the H representing hundreds, the TH representing thousands, then the TTH representing 10,000s, the HTH representing hundred thousands, and the M representing millions. So if we start with just a simple number like 357, if we want to write that into a place value chart, we would write that as the 7 is meaning 7 ones. So we could write the 7 in here. And we would put the 5 representing 5 tens in here, and the 3 representing 3 hundreds in there. So 357 would be 3 hundreds, 5 tens, and 7 ones. Okay, if we move on to a slightly more tricky example, let's look at number 2. We've got the number, which in digits is 14275, but if I read that number as a word, it's 14,275. So again, we're going to put the 5 in the ones column, so we know that means 5 ones. The 7's going to go in the tens because it's 75. The 2 is going to go in the hundreds because it says 275. And then we've got the 14 left. So the 14 is going to be 1 for the 10,000s and a 4 in the thousands, because the 14, if we think of 14, it means four lots of thousands, and the 1 means 1/10 of the 10,000s. So that would read 14,275, and it's written like that on the chart. Let's have a look at the next example. Okay, so this one's much trickier, much bigger number, and we've got 7 digits, but again we can just transfer those directly across. We've got to make sure we transfer the zeros though, so we can read this number. It's 3,520,003. So the 3 would go in the ones column. We have 0 tens, we have 0 hundreds, we even have 0 thousands. But we had 20,000, so that's 2 10,000s. We've got 500,000, so there's going to be a 5 there. And then the 3 is going to go into the millions column just there. So the number was 3,520,003. Let's get rid of those numbers and we'll do the next one. Now this is more like the numbers written on the slide. So this is where it's going to get tricky, but I don't want you to get confused by the decimal point, because the decimal point is talking about millions. So for example, Australia's area is 7.7 million. So we've got to remember that is talking about 7 million, and the 0.7 we can then work that out through using the place value chart. So I've got an example of 4.7 million, and I should have written million there, so maybe we'll just type that on. Okay, so it's not being confused with meters, and I'll do that on the second one too. And we can write this in, if we understand that it says 4.7 million, we're going to actually start in a different place this time. We're going to write the 4 million in the 4 million column. Okay, now in the number 4.7 million, the 4 and the 7 are together. They're separated only by a decimal point, but we're actually going to make this into a whole number represented by all those digits. So we're going to keep them close together. So they're going to go into columns next to each other. So I'm going to move along, and I'm going to put the 7 into the hundred thousands column. Okay, now that's the only digits we have, but we can't just leave it sitting like that because it still just looks like 47. So we have to then go through and fill in all of the remaining columns with zeros. And the number we had was 4.7 million, or if we read that properly, it says 4,700,000. Okay, and we have one more example to look at, and this one is a slightly trickier again because it's a number that's got lots of zeros in it and a decimal point. We're going to work through this in exactly the same way. So we're going to think about that the first 0 at the beginning of that number, that's saying how many million we have. We had 0.002 million, but we're going to write that 0 in. We don't need to usually, but we're going to do that to help us to understand the number. I'm going to put the 0 there. We're going to write the second 0 because they're together. We're going to keep them together in the number above. I'm going to put that in there. Then we're going to put the third 0 into the next column. And then we're going to write the 2 into the next column. And then we're going to continue and fill in all the blanks with zeros. And at this point, we can actually get rid of these zeros. They're placeholders, but they don't actually represent any value in our number when we're reading out loud. So we'll delete those. And then we can just read this number. And 0.002 million is actually exactly the same as 2,000. So hopefully that will help you to write some of those big numbers out in words that are on the chart. Obviously, some of those numbers actually have multiple millions, so you could always add another column onto at the end. So instead of just being millions on the left-hand side, we could actually add a 10 millions column here, and we could extend that further and further out if we had bigger numbers to deal with. Hope that helps you. Good luck with it, guys.